the ring partner as well. And that's the reason he is the king of the mountain champion. There's a lot more other things he was about to get done.
In the near 2-decade history of TNA or Impact Wrestling, they have attempted to present an alternative product to WWE. This has had some degrees of success, as at one stage in 2010, TNA attempted to recapture the magic of the Monday Night Wars by going live against Monday Night Raw every Monday night. But sadly, they flopped, and they flopped hard.
Now we're taking you all the way, Jack!
But TNA has had some of the biggest names in pro wrestling history come through their doors, with names such as Hulk Hogan, Sting, Ric Flair, Kurt Angle and Jeff Hardy all having substantial runs in the company. Just like WWE though, TNA have had their fair share of memorable and at times hilarious mistakes in matches throughout their established history. But which times were they? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 of the worst fails and bloopers in TNA history. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists.
As right now they're all trying to duck out of the way as we've had a little fire up top. Wow! I don't know what's going on, but some of the pyro trucks looking on fire.
Number 10, border toss to Doug Williams. On an episode of TNA Impact in 2011, Doug Williams would take on Hernandez. The finish of the match involved Hernandez hitting his finisher, the border toss, on Williams to win the match. Now, for those who are unaware, the border toss is similar to Razor Ramon's finishing move. However, the border toss has more impact and without question has a higher degree of risk. On this occasion, Hernandez managed to throw Williams with such ferocity that he landed on his neck.
Zero offense for Williams, who just got nailed!
According to Williams, it was extremely scary whilst he was going through the air as he had no control of his landing. Luckily, Williams was okay, but it was one of the scariest mistakes in the history of TNA and could have been fatal. Number 9, Jenna Muraska vs Charmelle. A Jenna Muraska vs Charmelle at 2009's Victory Road pay-per-view is well established for being one of the worst matches in pro wrestling history. The match was between two non-wrestlers and it certainly showed. The match actually received a -5-star rating from Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The issue with the match was that it was a complete blooper fest. Almost every single move was a fail. Even basic moves such as slaps, kicks and forearms were unable to be performed without reckless yet comedic errors. Just look at those slaps.
Slight advantage just by being in this business for 10 years, but now you see, Jenna just can't.
Number 8, Rosie Lotta Love injures Daphne. The injury that Daphne suffered at the hands of Rosie Lotta Love during a TNA Dark match was one of the most controversial injuries in TNA history. Rosie was extremely inexperienced and it showed as she would injure Daphne's sternum and even gave her a concussion. TNA received a lot of criticism for how they handled the injury. They would show the footage on Impact to try and get Rosie over, however, all they showed to the audience was that she was green as grass. The incident was made even worse by the fact that Rosie was trained by Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley, and Bubba actually gave Daphne the cold shoulder when she came through the curtain, as he believed that Daphne made Rosie look bad on purpose. Daphne would end up suing TNA for the injuries she suffered, and it would be settled out of court in 2013, and Daphne hasn't appeared in the company since. Number 7, the finish to Against All Odds 2011. The main event of the Against All Odds pay-per-view in 2011 was a ladder match between Jeff Hardy and Mr. Anderson for the TNA World title. The finish of the match was supposed to involve Anderson hitting Hardy with a mic check from the top of the ladder, however Hardy would grab the belt just as Anderson would hit the mic check, meaning that Hardy would win the match. Unfortunately, Hardy was unable to grab the belt in time and he took an absolutely brutal bump that looked dangerous even for Jeff's standards. Hardy then simply got up and climbed the ladder to retrieve the belt. He virtually no-sold the bump and he improvised with a new finish. It was TNA at its absolute worst. Well, almost worst. Number 6, Josh Barnett's TNA debut. Josh Barnett would join TNA in the beginning of 2017 for a very short stint. His debut match would be against a local jobber named Brad Bones. In the match, Barnett would hit a devastating powerbomb which unfortunately resulted in Bad Bones landing right on his neck. There was concern that Bones had broken it, but it appeared as if he was okay. Barnett's run in TNA would be over before it began, as he would lose a match the following week to Bobby Lashley and he would exit the company for other ventures. Number 5, a referee knocks himself out. During an infamous match between Bully Ray and Bobby Roode, Bully was about to put him through a table, and the planned spot was supposed to incorporate the referee being involved, as Roode would kick the referee accidentally when he was about to be powerbombed. However, zero contact was made, which forced the referee to basically sell nothing. The referee proceeded to perform the most outlandish yet comical sell job ever seen on TNA programming. It was so bad that certain members of the live crowd actually burst out laughing when he did it. Number 4. Ultimate X at Bound for Glory 2005. Ultimate X was one of TNA's signature matches. It allowed the X division to show off their skill set, with names such as AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels having memorable moments that fans still talk about to this very day. However, the Ultimate X that was featured on the Bound for Glory 2005 pay-per-view was an utter disaster. Now, the aim of the Ultimate X match is simple: just unhook the big red X which is hanging above the ropes in the center of the ring. But the issue with this match was that the big red X fell to the mat halfway through the match. The TNA wrestlers in the match then had to awkwardly pretend it didn't happen, whilst TNA officials attempted to hang it right back up. Unfortunately, it would fall again, right into the arms of P.T. Williams. The frustrated referee clearly had enough and awarded the match to Williams, and the blooper fest would finally be over. Number 3. Christian Cell. Perhaps the most well-known blooper on this list involved two wrestling legends. Those legends were Christian and Scott Steiner, as during a match on Impact, Steiner would go to throw Christian's head into the ring steps. However, the moment Steiner touched Christian's head, Christian decided to throw his own head into the ring apron rather than the steps, with barely any contact. It was a hilarious blooper, and Steiner would even drop a dramatic
Thing I've ever seen. That's just absolutely.
Number 2. Kurt Angle hit Sting in the face with a baseball bat. The main event of Bound for Glory in 2007 was a dream match for many. It featured Angle taking on Sting for the TNA World title. And even though Angle and Sting are two of wrestling's biggest names ever, that doesn't rule them out from having a memorable blooper. There was a spot in the match that was supposed to involve Angle attempting to hit Sting with Sting's baseball bat, and Sting would naturally catch the bat, and then the duo would transition into the next spot. However, Angle swung it far too hard and Sting failed to catch the bat. This meant that Sting was hit square in the face, and it was no doubt incredibly painful. Both men recovered from the moment extremely well, and the two TNA icons managed to finish the match as planned. And number 1, Shelley Martinez vs Rebel. The TNA's One Night Only was a series of pay-per-view events that TNA ran between 2013 to 2019, and each pay-per-view would have a different theme. One of the themes was titled Knockouts Knockdown, and the 2016 edition of the pay-per-view featured one of the most infamous matches in wrestling history. The match in question was between Rebel and Shelley Martinez. It was one of the most blooper-filled matches ever seen on any TNA pay-per-view since their inception in 2002. In the match, the two women would fall over each other when performing moves such as arm drags, and it featured what was referred to as the worst dive of all time. Shelley would go for a dive, but she would awkwardly get caught up in the ropes. Shelley then hilariously just stayed caught up in the ropes as the crowd sat in silence, and the TNA commentary team tried their best to salvage it.
Caught up in the ropes, and it's a dangerous six-sided ring.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Those ropes are close together.
Following that dive, Rebel rolled Shelley into the ring and pinned her to put an end to one of the worst matches in TNA history. Well, there you have it, folks. 10 of the worst fails and bloopers in TNA history. Is there any more that we should add to the list? Let us know in the comments down below. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.